Hello and welcome to the Trench Mob Show. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. I would like to thank our sponsors at Procyon Partners. Procyon Partners, they are one of the top 50 fastest growing companies in the nation. They specialize in wealth management, employee benefits, and retirement planning. President Sean Rabinowitz is a proud supporter of Husky Talk, and he's going to get me a Tesla one day. We also have Green Street Trust International, owned and operated by Rennell Jump. They will save you money through strategic tax planning. In some cases, they will get you a nice return. In other cases, they will save you a significant amount of money. To schedule your free tax strategy planning session today, go to greenstreettrust.com. We have Dynamic Human Performance. Dynamic Human Performance is run by UConn legendary running back Andre Dixon. He works with boys and girls of all ages, no matter the sport. They offer classes all throughout the day. Whatever your specialty is, he will get you better and get you to the next level. He is also introducing a new athletic development program where he will take you from the ground up in the sport of your choice and help you become better and reach your potential. Andre has sent kids on scholarship all over the country to Division I schools, regardless of the sport. So if you're in Hartford, Connecticut, go see Andre Dixon at dynamichumanperformance.com, and he will take care of you. We also have Ned Von Young, who owns My Fresh Fold Laundry Co. They're in Carborough, North Carolina, just outside of Chapel Hill. They have a brand new state-of-the-art laundromat with incredible features. They offer an online booking model. You can go online and schedule to get your machine. They offer a weekly or bi-weekly subscription model where you can go in weekly and do your laundry. And they also wash, dry, and fold your clothes at land speed records. If you're a college student, again, they offer plenty of specials for you to go in and have clean clothes and not go the whole semester without doing your laundry. So check out, it's myfreshfold-laundryco.com and check out Ned Von and everything he's doing. And now, finally, we have the ladies of the hour, the Trench Mob Moms, who have come to talk about the program. And we are very excited to have you. Thank you so much for being with us. To my right, I believe it is Trench Mom Christian. Is that accurate? Yes. I'm very bad with pronunciations, just so you know.
It's Kristen.
I'm 0 for 1. I'm 0 for 1.
You know, my mom.
On the bottom, it's Sonja. Is that right?
That's right.
1 for 2. And we also have Ink. Your words are expensive. That's a great saying. Your words are expensive. Use them wisely. I need to adopt that. That would benefit me in my life. That's great. So we are here to talk about the Trench Mob. We've been watching film of your children the last few episodes, and just my background. I played before Julius at UConn, and I coached at the college level for about 10 years, and I have not seen talent and play like the kids that he has, that you guys have obviously raised. And it's just astounding to me. As I asked you guys before the show, none of your kids really play on the same school, but you've come together and really embraced working and supporting each other, which I just think is so amazing, especially in this day and age where kids tend to be selfish and worried about themselves. You guys really operate as a group. you go into these tournaments as a team, and it shows because you support each other, you support each other, you perform well, you take the wins, you take the losses. And the one thing about Julius, I mean, he's calm, cool, and collective, and he knows what to do, and he knows how to make you guys better. So I'll start with you, Kristen. I got that right. What initially drew you to join the Trench Mob? That your
Um,
son joined?
so Sean, who is our oldest son, he was a middle schooler. He was in the 8th grade at the time, and wanting to get him a little bit more exposure outside of his middle school, we went to football university down in Florida, in Naples, Florida.
Oh, okay.
And from there, we were introduced to the football university family, and they had a tournament that happened in Atlanta. So took him to that tournament as well. And at that tournament, Coach Julius was one of the coaches there. He was a defensive coach. So after the tournament was over with, you go up and you meet the coaches, make sure that they meet your sons. And I suggest that for all parents, make sure that your child is very, friendly.
You have to be very smart
and
to
able
say
to
that.
network. It's about networking. So
It is.
went up to Julius, started talking to him about coaching Sean, and he said, yes, I'll coach Sean. But then he also saw our middle son, who is Cameron. Cameron was 8 years old at the time.
Oh, okay. I remember watching
Yes.
Cameron. Yes.
He asked if Cameron was playing football because at the time he was coaching an 8U football team in Decatur. So he said, hey, I can train both of them. And I was like, that's a win for me.
Yes, right.
And so started training, and then the next January was when we introduced Sean was it was his first competition, and he went to California, and he was a little
That's awesome.
going against the big Samoans, and mommy was scared.
No, Julius will take good care of him. That's great how that happened. Sonja, how about with you? What initially drew you to the Trench Mob? Was it word of mouth, just hearing about it, or seeing the kids that have gone on?
So our journey was a little different because we just recently moved to the Georgia area in 2023 from upstate Rochester, New York.
You're
We
from
figured,
Rochester?
yeah, we're from Rochester.
I'm
And
from Utica.
I went to college at St. John's, so I'm very familiar with Connecticut and things of that nature. I used to actually work in Connecticut in the, oh my gosh, I can't remember, New Haven. I used to travel. So I traveled Dansbury all up through there.
Okay, so you know the
So,
Northeast.
yes. So we recently moved here in 2023 to help provide both of my boys exposure and opportunity that isn't currently in Rochester,
So
but we figure it
smart.
was on a different scale in here in Georgia. I gave them a few choices. They chose Georgia. We moved here in 2023. We started at Brookwood as O-Tackle, and I was just posting everything on Twitter. So as I was posting everything on Twitter and just really pushing them, and I actually, another encouragement to parents is to really be involved on getting the film out on Twitter and really learn how to use Huddle and some of these other applications that would be very beneficial to help market your children. Please learn them and do it for all your kids, even if they're weightlifting, if they're running, whatever kind of workout they do, just
Anything
post
you
it out
can put
there
out. You're
because
absolutely
coaches
right.
like to see that flexibility, that mobility and agility, etc. So I was posting everything, and then Julius inboxed Zaden and was like, hey, I see you're a dog. You should come and check us out. So we actually went there, and I was speaking to a fellow grandfather. His name is Mr. Johnson. So they kind of used him as the spokesperson, like, hey, tell her about us. He's a testimony. He has a grandson out there, and they've really done a lot to expose and get Omari where he is. And so he's like, tell her a little about it. And so once they told me about it, and then he stayed for that one practice just to kind of check it out. and he's been in love ever since. So we haven't left. So it seems like we've been here for like 5 to 6, 7 years, but it's only been not even 2 yet. So that's kind of like how I got into with met Julius and learned about Trench Mob.
That's just amazing because you recognize that if I want to get my kid the best look, this is where I need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And to make that adjustment, because I mean, in reality, if it pays off, you know, you're gonna save a lot of money on a full scholarship, and then even make money with all the NIL deals and being able to be paid now. It's really worth it if you go to the right place.
Yeah,
So-
it's picking up a lot in Rochester. Like there are a lot of Zaden's former friends, or I ain't gonna call them former. There are his friends, but teammates, etc., that really are jumping off. Messiah Hampton, Styles McKenzie. There's a few of them that really are doing very well, and actually are now some of that exposure that wasn't quite there earlier on is now becoming that is coming there,
Yeah.
but it's nothing like here. And the one
No.
piece that I wanted to make sure was that where Zaden was doing very well in Rochester, I wanted to see how he fared against other
Best
players
competition, yes.
that's his size. Because Zaden is almost like an anomaly in Rochester as far as size and age. He always had to play up. He played for a team called Southwest Coast, and he always had to play up in, Park League, etc. And so it's like, okay, let's see if iron can sharpen iron here, and let's get you in front of in a place where they breed kids just like you.
They
So,
do.
So that was a lot of the reason why I felt this was a good choice for him. And it actually worked out wonderfully. And then with the help of Julius in conjunction with his school, he's just really learned so much and come so far. So, but he had great coaches too in Rochester. So it's good, but I do believe that this exposure and being with Trench Mob actually helps on another level for him.
That's a great mindset to have. And I'm from Utica, so I know how bad New York State football is. So that's okay. You don't have to hide it. But to your point, being able to go from Rochester down to Georgia and still be able to do well and showcase your skills, that's incredible. I mean, that shows that your kid had the natural ability to do it. And now he's being coached like he never would have been coached up here. I mean, our coaches up here, I mean, they're gym teachers. They're not football coaches.
Right.
So congratulations on making that move, and I'm happy that it's paying off.
Thank you.
And I am going to use my words wisely. What drew you to the old Trench Mob?
So our story is a little different. So Octavius is a late bloomer for football.
Yes,
right?
I've heard that.
He's a late bloomer.
But boy, did he bloom.
He did. So we moved here to Georgia in 22. And he said he wanted to play football. We had did some leagues. We were from Chicago. We had did some leagues in Chicago. He was terrible, right? I'm just going to be honest. He was terrible.
Well, I mean, he was probably poorly coached.
Right. Right. It was a lot of those things. I just kept taking him and kept taking him. And then when we came here to Georgia, he was kind of trying to navigate. He was trying to fit in. He was at, Shiloh High School, and he got into some trouble. And so he started to try to do football towards the end of the school year, but he really wasn't focused on it. He said he wanted to play football, but his actions didn't say that. Because I'm big on actions, right? If you're not showing me that you want to do it, we're not going to waste our time, right? Because our time is valuable. So he didn't even want to sit down and watch a football game, right? I'm like, how do you want to play football, but you don't even want to study the game? So that's how I knew that he wasn't ready.
He didn't want to watch it.
No, he wasn't watching football. And my husband, I'm newlywed. My husband, he loves football, right? And he wouldn't even sit down and watch a game with him. I don't even really particularly, well, now I do. Now I love football, but at first I didn't even watch football. And I'm watching games with him, right? And my son, he wasn't watching college either. And I'm like, Octavius, what's going on? And so finally, I don't know what happened. Something happened junior year, the end of junior year. So we switched him to Grayson High School, right? And he was playing over there. He still was learning. And by that time, Octavius found Trench Mob on his own. He had been looking because he needed some extra work outside of what they were offering him at Grayson. Grayson has a great program over there. But anyway, he was trying to come up in the ranks over there. It was kind of hard for him because, they had other kids there, more talented, what have you. He stuck with it, and he found Trench Mob, and he begged me. He came to me and begged me. He told me he had been doing his research, and he found out about Trench Mob, and I was like, okay, now are you serious about this? Because I don't want to waste time and energy and money if you're not going to do it. And he said, yes, I'm going to do it. So we said, okay, this is what we need from you. And I don't know what happened, but something clicked. So I believe we started going maybe the end of 22. We did a few things, maybe the top of 23. It's all a blur now. Everything happened so fast. But he started going every week. He started loving it. He started to change. Like I came to a few practices, not too many, but I would start to see film and just see him like bloom and transform into this kid I didn't know. And so by that time, we have senior year, which is now, and we had to transfer him back to Shiloh, which is the school that we're slotted for. And he was deemed ineligible for his senior year. And that crushed him because he was just he had went to practice that whole summer, doing Trench Mob stuff, doing stuff outside, working out, doing so many different things. And he couldn't play. I had to tell him that I had been talking to the coaches, even GSHA. I talked to them. I was trying to get my baby to be able to play because now I know he wants to play. He wants to play. And so finally, they came up with the decision. He's ineligible. And so I said, okay, Octavius, we're going to continue to work. You still have Trench Mob. I talked to Julius. Julius was so great about that. He said, now, I believe in him. I've seen what he can do. I've seen the growth. So if you just stick with us, I promise you that your son will be better. He will have some offers because senior year, that's like 13th and 11th hour, right? And so here we are, with some offers, but it's all because Octavius, I know it's because he found Trench Mob. And then secondly, he made the commitment to want to do the work. Now, had I known all this before, right, coming in, I would have immediately got him in Trench Mob immediately.
Yeah.
But again, he wasn't really interested in football, right? Not enough for me to put my time and energy into it. And I'm of the belief that if you don't want to do something, you're not going to do it. It doesn't matter what it is.
So okay, he was the player that we watched last week, and I think Julius had told me about him that he didn't play his senior year. He came out in that first tournament and just dominated, and he walked away with some offers. And that's just an incredible story, especially being late in the recruiting season, and that just shows the wherewithal for the kid that you raised, that he never gave up on it and he just worked harder. And good things come to kids who do that and believe in themselves. And that's the biggest thing I see is the kids support each other. It doesn't matter who they are because they want to see everyone succeed. And that is, I'd like when I watched the film, first of all, I couldn't believe I figured had he played his senior year, he would have been offered, but I couldn't believe that he hadn't been offered yet because he looked great. He looked really, really great. So congratulations to you on that. And it's a situation where a lot of it's the coaches, where if the coaches rub you the wrong way, if they don't believe in you, and if they don't necessarily put you in the positions to succeed, you end up struggling, unfortunately. So I think having that experience, I mean, it definitely battle tested him where he could have taken on anything. And it showed. It showed in that camp. It definitely showed in that camp. Was it you, Christine, that said you had 2 kids doing it now?
Well, it's a total of 3 actually. So
okay,
two that are active, but so Sean's a senior now. He just signed to Florida State University.
Yes.
At the end of May. Cameron, he's 12 years old, and he's currently in the 6th grade. He's in a middle school Trench Mob program. And then Jaden is 9 years old, and you can't tell him that he's not a part of Trench Mob.
Yes, right.
You
True
can't
story.
tell him he's not
That is great.
And I just wanted to piggyback to for us to in addition to it being the coaches maybe and not believing in you, for us it was more so of being around kind of like-minded people So at Sean's middle school, there were not a lot of like-minded individuals or like-minded children that wanted to. They just wanted to be a part of a football team because I'm a part of a football team and it's cute. And recognizing that, and and coming from an area for us where there was not a lot of, especially in these positions, there needs to be a lot of aggression that's taught, healthy aggression that's taught, and the kids were not being taught that healthy aggression. So recognizing that and trying to expose Sean to kids, he was always, a good football player, but I know that you're a good football player, but how do you, like Sonja said, how do you fare up against other football players? So wanting him to see the larger picture of these are people that you also can play with. And then coming to Trench Mob, all of those kids that are a part of Trench Mob, they want to be there. They want to be dogs. They want to be on the field. It's not parents that are forcing them to be there. They want to be there. They want to be the best. They want to get better, and they want to work hard. And Julius and Coach Ant and Jordan and all of them pull things out of these kids that we wouldn't even
coaching.
Right. We couldn't even imagine what they pull out of these kids. But being around those like-minded boys, even, it pulls something out of them in addition to them just, being in their own schools. Like they see these are the elite kids that are in our area that we are battling against every week. And if we can battle against them, we can battle against anybody.
That's right.
Yes, 100%. Sonja, just talk to me a little bit about the difference from coming from upstate New York to Georgia. And I mean, you're playing against real top level talent, whereas in New York, we don't necessarily have that. We're one of the biggest states, and we produce the smallest number of Division I talent. So that had to have been quite an adjustment. Did it take him a little while to get going, or was it like the duck to the water thing?
In some ways, Zaden was blessed to have people in his corner in Rochester that played the game at a higher level. So he was started off being coached by a guy named Gerald, who when he was like, I don't know, I think he was like in 4th or 5th grade, Gerald really took the time and taught him technique, and because he played at a college level. He was also partnered with a guy named Mo Jackson, who had a school itself, right, Syracuse, and then he went on to be with the Bills a little bit. So he had them, and then we went to Bruce Johnson, a part of CTC, which is Changing the Community, and Bruce was very integral in even getting Zaden his first offer as an 8th grader. So he had a lot of people in his corner. He came up through a Pop Warner League called Southwest, and he always had to play up. So he always had to be like in the older class because of his size, until they became unlimited and things of that nature. So he was blessed to have great people in his corner. There's a guy by the name of Jerron Jones who played for Notre Dame and had and played with a few teams in the league who also helped him. So we tapped in a lot of those resources that I had coming up through the ranks as well. So he was blessed, but the difference is that most of the kids he was playing against was never close to his size.
Right.
They were always smaller than he was. So in my mind, if you're throwing this 5'8", 170-pound kid around and you're 6'2", 280, you're doing what you're supposed to do versus doing what, everyone feels like is this great thing next to sliced bread. So we decided to make that move, and when we got here, he kind of hit the ground running. There was some adjustments to the weather, to figure they go to school earlier, and we were just getting out of school, so we kind of went in between that transition. So going through that, and then really understanding the expectations, because it was a lot higher here than it was from the school he came from. He came from Greece Athena, had some, good coaches there, O-line coach Carletta. So they did what, and they came from great backgrounds. I think when he got here, though, it was just a different fire that was under him. And realistically, kind of going to what Christian mentioned, Trench Mob was able to pull out a little bit more out of him that we were knowing that was there, but just trying to tap into that part of him that a lot of people couldn't reach just yet. And I think a lot of it was because he was just had to mature a little bit. And, even though he was bigger, doesn't mean that he still isn't 14 to 15 years old. He's still a young, a teenager, etc. So I think for the transition itself, it went smoother than I thought. But I do believe that is so helpful for him because it definitely, I feel, opened doors that I won't say wouldn't happen in Rochester. I would just say it would just probably take a little bit longer for it to happen for him. Because like I said, he was blessed with having a lot of great people in his corner that's still in his corner as a part of his village. So I think with that being the case, it wasn't far-fetched for him. But I think when he finally saw some of these bigger guys and some of these guys that looked just like him, he was like, okay. It was almost like he was ready for the challenge, just ready for it. And then getting with Julius and being out there with Julius and learning different things. And Jordan, who is such a great person to pull that out of you the way that Christian was talking about. Yeah. Jordan has a knack for that, for sure. And he just... I don't know, he settled in and he became very not comfortable to whereas he's not uncomfortable, so right. he just started blooming and blossoming, and here we are.
Ink, what would you say the biggest experience as far as the scheduling and the demands on the kids? Are they willing to embrace it? Do they see that it could lead them somewhere positive? And do they ultimately, because the toughest thing for me was to get the kids to believe in themselves and develop confidence. Do you see that happening more and more down there with those kids?
Yes, well, I can speak for Octavius and the Trenchmont family. The scheduling, I think it's fair. I think they can do more. Like on Octavia's side, I think that they can give more, because if this is something that you truly love, and I know that even if you don't go to the highest level of football, it can take you a lot of places, right? And so I think that the demand that they put on the boys is great, right? I think it's great, and it teaches them discipline. It teaches them responsibility, tenacity, and I love it. I love it. And Octavius does too. Like I said, I have a different kid because of the coaching from the guys at Julius at Trench Mob, and then even some of the moms there. I have a different son that comes home every Sunday, and when he comes off of these trips, he actually wants to do more. By him being a senior, him now being able to travel, that's a blessing, because I know Julius said several times that we're the only organization in the country that are allowing seniors to do this. So like when we call him Ock, he is ready to go. He's like, I want to go now. He's just like, I can't keep him still. Right now he's at the gym. I told him to be here with me, but he decided he wanted to go to the gym, and I'm all for it. But everything that they're doing and they're saying, because you can only get so much from home. You have to be watered everywhere, and he's definitely being watered there at Trench Mob.
And the one thing I would ask you is, the biggest thing I've seen is, again, I mentioned the culture that they've developed. They really have a good culture going on where, like I said, if they took kids up here from all different schools and had them in one group, they'd probably kill each other. So it's good to see that. How do you think that they went about developing that culture where everyone supports each other, everyone wants to see each other succeed? And from a mother's perspective, how did you see it develop?
Well, I think that it's important for young men to see strong men, right?
Very true.
Even though they have strong men in their household, but it's also important to see strong men. If I can see this strong man who have done these great things on this high level, then I can do it too. And then the mentality that these guys have, that they're pouring into our sons. So that's how I think that can happen. That's very important. Strong leadership. That's how they've been able to develop that culture for those guys. Just
Julius, you're taking people from Rochester? You coming up to my neck of the woods, getting them to come down here?
Hey, man, whatever it takes, man.
Talent is talent, right? That's crazy. So do you have kids all throughout the state that will come to you? Or is it more of a set location?
So when we first started in 2020,
right,
we took the 9 kids that I was training the most. In actuality, there were 9 D linemen that I was training. And I heard about it from a guy named Glenn Phillips, who owns Grind Factory, who we were partnered with now.
Right.
And we just kind of went out and jumped in the water. So back then, it was only kids that were near us. Then in the year 1, year 2, year 3, and then year 3, we became ranked around in the nation. So once we became ranked in the nation, we began to have kids reach out from all around the country. Like we've had kids from California, Texas. We have a kid that just joined from Minnesota, that he's now a Trench Mob member. We have kids in Alabama, North Carolina, Florida, you name it, man. And I mean, it's a blessing, to be able to go out here and meet these young men. And one thing that we pride ourselves on, myself and Coach Jordan, Coach Ant, everybody, we don't typically go after stars,
right.
The kids that are 5 stars and 4 stars, those kids typically come with a stigma, and they come with a bad attitude, or they don't want
a little
to
bit
work,
of an ego,
So the one thing I can say about everybody on the phone now is their children came in hungry, and came in ready and willing to work. Like none of their children were guys that came in and had 40 offers already,
right.
50 offers. There were kids that we identified that wanted to work, that came from good households, and that's important. Most of these
Huge.
parents out here, they're telling their children that you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. You don't need to work. I see it every day in youth football. You'll be surprised what 8-year-old parents, when parents
I
of
would not.
8-year-olds, tell their 8-year-old children and what they think about them, So the one thing that I'm proud of is, especially with these 3 young ladies on the phone, is they've all done a great job of raising good young men, not football players. Like each of these, women on the phone, their sons are respectable. They're yes, sir, no, sir. They're not out here using a bunch of profanity and putting a bunch of stupid stuff on social media. So as we grow, and different kids come in from around the country, they take the mold of, the guys that we already have. And these 3 guys of these moms on the phone, these sons are a perfect example of what we call the Trench Mob way.
Right. Christine, are you able to go to tournaments every weekend? Are you able to travel and watch?
Yeah, we're able to travel to different tournaments. Like I said, because Sean has already signed with Florida State, he's not able to participate. So if you're already signed, if you already, he's not able to participate. But traveling with the Trench Mob and going to watch, Cameron is not doing much, I want to say, in the States, but locally he's able to participate in like the middle school activities. But we definitely are able to travel with the team.
Yes. And how many teams would you say typically participate in a single tournament? Is it a lot of teams, 2 or 3 teams?
It depends.
It depends
in California, how many? There were a bunch of teams.
Oh, there were.
There were a lot of teams in California. But
wow.
I think our last tournament, there may have been like 8 or 9, maybe 10 teams.
Yeah. That's amazing. I didn't know that's a lot of teams in California. Sonja, is same with you. Are you able to get out and watch the tournaments and cheer your son on?
If I can help it, I'll never miss a tournament. However, I've already missed one. They went to California, and that was his very first tournament. And his oldest brother took him for me because I had already had a previous vacation planned. So they took him, and I was so nervous. I'm on the boat, and I'm like, we had FaceTime my bonus son, and he was like showing in my youngest son. And I was on FaceTime. I'm like, yes, Aiden. And we're in this middle of this like facial thing. And my sister's like, be quiet. I'm like, I'm cheering on my child. So it was, but I'm usually there. I also have a younger son who's very active, and he's a basketball player, and he plays in AAU. So there's conflict there where I try to make sure that both of my kids understand how much I love them. So I gotta miss Zaden to go to him or watch him play, or vice versa. But if I can help it, I'm not missing anything, because I want them to see the support in the stands and know that they got their mother there. So, and if I can't be there, somebody that they are very comfortable with will be there.
And were you surprised at how active they were as far as training and then camps, and understanding that really makes a difference as far as seeing development and improvement?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I always tell myself now, if I can go back to last year, I would have made sure that Octavius was in every one of those camps and those competitions, because he kept saying, Mom, I have to go. I'm like, no, because it would seem like one was every week. I was like, what is this? I'm getting inundated with all these emails. I was overstimulated. And he was like, Mom, but this is what has to happen. This is what has to happen. But now I understand, because last year I wasn't really into it, but now being into it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this thing is serious. Football is a big thing, especially in the South. But overall, right? Football is America's sport.
It
And
has grown
I
into
didn't realize the magnitude of this thing. And I always shoot myself in the foot, because I'm like, wow, all these opportunities that you missed last year to go and to get better. We did a few, but it was towards the end, right? We did some, not with Trenchmont, like on his own.
Yeah.
But now I think those are very important. I would tell parents now, people that are small and their children want to come up, like, take them to these things, invest the time, go to these one-on-ones, do these networks, do all that you can, because it is very imperative to get your child out there. I really wish I would have done it last year, but now we're doing everything we can. Even though he's a senior, we're going to everything.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, do you want me to go with you? No, Mom, I don't want you to go. I just want you to say, I want you to save the money and do it. I'm like, okay, he's very thoughtful, because it's been me and him for a long time. I was a single mom for a while. So he really looks out for me in that way. And I'm like, you're right. You're right. Okay. But I'm going to come. I'm going to surprise him. He won't even know. I'm going to show up.
Julius, when exactly, because I know you mentioned you have a coalition, when was the coalition technically established?
So we've been competing against some of the same teams for the last 2 or 3 years. GSA out in California was the biggest player in the coalition. GSA is actually the number one team in the country, and they've been the number one team in the country for the last 3 or 4 so years. And so they had a big following, and they kind of blessed us in. So last year, Coach Chris, who was the head coach of GSA, he got sick, and when he got sick, there was a big void in 5v5 world. He's like the god of 5v5 world. I won't lie. He's the guy that makes everything happen. This thing is much bigger on the West Coast, as you heard Kristen say earlier.
Yes.
We went to a tournament a few years ago. It was like 25 teams in one tournament. So they're the big players. So what we wanted to do, when he got sick, we weren't sure, how long he was going to be down and how things would work. And, we didn't kind of just want to be left out to dry, kind of waiting on Coach Chris to come back, So what we did, we met with a few trusted guys, came up with rules, and, we started meeting around September. And now we have, five trips that we plan for everybody to support each other. And we're going to take college visits, everywhere we
that's
go.
huge.
Yep. And the most important part for me, man, is I understand what it means to be a late bloomer. And like when I was in high school, I was highly recruited as a junior and as a sophomore. Like I was talking to every school in the nation, you know. And then my second game of my junior season, I tore my ACL.
You said that, yeah.
You know, so when I tore my ACL, I went from talking to 5 or 6 colleges, every 2 or 3 days to not to maybe talking to one college a week. You know, so I know the importance of you know needing that extra look. So it was very important to me to allow seniors, to be able to do our coalition. We're the only coalition in America that allows 25 kids to travel, because most coalitions or most groups, they say that seniors have had their time, you know and they don't deserve to be out here with these younger kids beating up on these freshmen and sophomores and things like that. But in Ink's case, Octavius is a great young man,
Yes.
and he's worked a lot. Like she failed to mention Octavius was about 300. I hope she don't mind me saying that, but he was about 370 pounds this time last year. You know, so going into the year, he was what you call a big puncher. You know all about that, Steve. So his punch was devastating.
Yeah.
Once he got his hands on people, but it was hard for him to get his hands on people at 370 pounds. You
Right.
know, so when everything happened with him this summer, and he was ruled ineligible, you know, I told him, man, like, look, this could be a blessing in disguise. You know, we're not going to stop helping you because you got ruled ineligible. All you're going to do is come out with your lunch pail. You're going to continue to work. You're going to lose this weight, and we're going to get you in school. Well, Octavius lost about 50 pounds,
Yeah.
And now he's moving
You're
laterally and
seeing the
vertically a
difference.
lot better, and he's punching the shit out of people. Excuse me, moms. But he's punching people, and college coaches are liking it. And like I haven't seen many kids get D1 offers, and not play high school football.
That's what I
So
said in March too,
yeah.
nonetheless.
Yeah,
So that
definitely,
shows
man.
that.
Like you got kids that have played high school football, especially with this portal coming up now, that have been 4-year starters. And Octavius, has more offers and better offers, than some of these guys that have been 4-year starters for their high schools. And it's not. And people say a lot about Trench Mob. Yeah, we're a top 5 team in the country, and we've done some great things, but these young men do it for themselves. I mean, I know I'm a great coach. Coach Jordan's a great coach. Coach Mike, Jared, Coach Mack, all of us do a great job. But if these kids are not consistent, if they don't have parents that bring them there, push them, talk to them outside of Trench Mob, and make sure they go out and do what they need to do, this platform would not work. All we do is provide the film. Coach Mike does a great job of
He
filming these
does.
guys from start to finish, coming out of their stances until they get to the bag. So for that, it's more so the film and the angles and what they're doing that's
Yes.
blowing these kids up. More so than the Trench Mob name. So, I'm just appreciative of these parents and all of our other parents, that trust in us weekly. We're not perfect. There's a lot of things that we can do better from a staff and as a coach you know, but they're definitely supportive, and they understand that I'm not perfect, and we're not perfect, but we get through things together, and we've had great results over the years, because of that.
Just so our viewers know, what's the typical schedule for the Trench Mob now that you've started the 5v5 season? You have obviously workouts during the week, and then you hit the road for tournaments, and then that runs through June, I believe you said.
Yeah. So our main day is Sunday, every Sunday
Okay.
at 3 p.m. at Duluth High School. And then we have guys that, want a little bit more work. So we added Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we're at South Gwinnett High School
Right.
each
That's where
Tuesday
the
and
tournament's
Thursday.
going to be, right?
Well, the tournament's going to be at Central Gwinnett,
Central. Okay.
but we're at South Gwinnett every Tuesday and Thursday at 5:30, and then we're at Duluth every Sunday. So we work 3 times a week, and then when we get the tournament, obviously the guys that put the more work in, they happen to do better when they get to these tournaments, So, and we'll go. We got Atlanta next week, and then we got Ohio April the 6th, and then we got Connecticut, which will be up there
April
with Matt Lawrence,
27th. Yep.
the 27th, and then we'll end in Pennsylvania on June 1st, and then we'll get into the college camp circuits, and we'll go around. Right. We'll go to the mega camps and all the rest of the camps, and get these guys looks and stuff like that.
Now, what do you do? Because I know they mentioned they have some younger kids. What do you do do you work with the younger kids? Do they necessarily do 5v5? Or are you working on basics more with them?
Oh yeah, no, we throw them in the fire, man.
You do?
Cam, Christian's son, we call him Bone Crusher. He's been doing 5v5 since he's been 9 years old, So
Wow.
like you're not gonna find a more advanced 12-year-old nose guard in America. I promise you. Just from the things that he's able to do, like he uses his hands better than grown men, just because of testament of, her bringing him out for so long and him being involved. And like we're in drills and Bone Crusher is showing juniors and seniors what to do, like he's so comfortable pass rushing, it's not even funny. And the thing that I pride myself on, when we first started, I used to be very generic with young guys. But as of late, I teach the 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds the same thing that I teach the high school guys, because I understand that, the earlier they get and understand it, the better they're going to be in the long run, and that's why a guy like Bone Crusher, like he's one of our best D linemen, and he's only 12 years old, because of the time he's worked and he's put in, and and a good thing that we do that other organizations don't do is we train our guys like Coach Jordan, our O-line coach. He trains all of our O-linemen how to be O-linemen.
Yes.
Like you're not training to be a tackle or a guard.
He's got them all across the board, which I love.
All across the board, and the same with me, man. Like you're not just the end. I mean, you got certain guys like Ahmad Dortch is only 200 pounds, so he's not going to be a tackle. But most of the guys, we let them go up and down the line of scrimmage and learn to rush wide, tight. We focus on playing the run, and it depends on the time of year. So like as we get closer to spring ball, we're going to work more zone and, and more run stuff, and power and, power stuff and, stuff like that. But in pass rush season, we're more edge and, counters and things like that. So, no, man, it's fun. It's unique, man. I mean, I never imagined myself, having as much fun as I'm having, doing something like this. As I say, I've turned down at least 10 college jobs.
I'm sure you have.
In the last 2 years, man, to the point where people tell me I'm stupid. I had a coach tell me the other day, man, are you serious? You're not going to come coach, P5 football?
Dude, you're making a bigger difference now. You're making a bigger difference now.
I'm having so much fun doing this, man. I'm almost scared to leave, man.
Well, you're making a difference in kids' lives now at an early age, and it's gonna be much more rewarding for you than the P5 stuff. The P5 stuff, a lot of guys have attitudes and egos. They don't listen to their coaches anymore. So these guys love you. These guys believe in you, and what you say is gospel. So like I said, I've never seen anything like it where kids respond to their coaches like they do to you. And I just think you're doing a phenomenal job because it's not easy, and you're getting kids better every time they're with you. So that's a testament to how hard you're working. So I give you all the credit.
Appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it.
Christian, I'll give you the last word. What would you like to say about the trench mob before we sign off?
I think the most important thing, we are a big family.
Yes.
So Coach Juice is very, he makes sure he reiterates that we are a big family. These boys are here to train. I want to say that it's an investment for parents. You have to invest in your kid. Don't think of it as I'm just going to send them. It's an investment, and the investment is paying off. We've invested a lot. We've invested a lot of time and energy and trusted the process. Sean's junior year, I want to say, I don't know, he didn't have any offers, and Coach Julius and Coach Mike pulled him aside one day and they had a heart-to-heart with him, and, things picked up from there. He became a better player. He became more invested in what he wanted to do because that's what he really wanted to do. And, he ended high school with well over 30 offers. And so,
Right.
It's a testament to hard work. It's a testament to investment. It's a testament to having coaches that are not just there for pay, and they're not just there to say I'm the high school coach, or, and they understand the game. They understand the game and they understand the position. So being in the school where you're just a number and you're just doing these individual or generalized drills, it does not pay off for these kids. They need the individual position specific technique and training to make them a better player.
I agree with you. The transparency and the honesty of Julius about trusting the process. If you do what he says, he will get you there. And I think that's huge for sure. Sonja, for you, last word on the trench mob.
So I ditto everything that Christian said. The other piece that I would like to add, though, is that Julius, Jordan, and Jared, Mac, they all come from a different place when they're coaching. So you're not getting the same coach across the board. You're going to get something out of Julius. You're going to get something different out of Jordan. You're going to get something different out of Ant, and etc. But at the same token, they're all different, but it's all for the same common goal. And what I do also like about it is that they're more than just coaches. They're mentors. They're guiders. They're people who provide you with information or try to flood you with information that's not just football. So it's financial literacy, it's body recovery, it's nutrition, it's other things that they bring to the table for these kids. And I think that I don't know how much they would appreciate it today sometimes, right? But I think that when they look back on it, they're going to realize that they were dropping so many nuggets that some of them might fail to pick up because it's like, oh my God, I'm not there yet. But you'll get there. I mean, we've all been there, right? Our parents would tell us something. We're like, and now we're adults. We're like, oh my God, my mother used to say this to me all the time. And I think that that's the different piece of it. And really coming from the place that they've been there and done that. A lot of the coaches that they are coached under might not even played football before, but they're coaching a football team, or, may not even have the kids in the right position, but because we need to win, that's where they are. And, we'll do whatever we need to do for the team, but they recognize that kind of stuff. Zaden was on the offense for all the time. And then Julius is like, he's a D tackle and he's playing D tackle, different opportunity, different angle, different ways. Not sure that I'm sure the school kind of sees it a little bit more now, but at the end of the day, it was Julius to first see that was probably a natural position for Zaden, in addition to maybe being a guard, etc. Right. So is those benefits that it brings to the table. And like she said, their family, we can call them and say, hey, such and such is struggling in school. Can you talk to them? They ain't going to have any problem with calling that child and speaking to that player and helping them any way, shape, or form. So they're more than just coaches to us. And, I do whatever I can do to make the program successful, to continue to make the program successful. And I thank them for everything they've done from both my kids, because my youngest one trains with Ant. So I'm thankful for who they are and what they bring to the table.
Yeah, it's only going to get better. Ink, what about you? And again, I just think the story of your son is amazing and incredible, and God bless you for that. That he's going to have some opportunities to play next year, and he deserves it for how hard he's worked.
Yes. So I echo everything that the lady's saying, and I want to say that Octavius really listens to these guys, to these coaches. He really listens. Like I've been telling him, Octavius, you need to lose weight. You need to lose weight for as long as I can remember. But as soon as
Julius
Coach got on the phone with us and told us what needed to happen, again, something clicked inside of him. And I started getting up with him, and we were running the subdivision together because we made it a family thing. And then even when I slacked off after maybe week 4, he still got up and he did it. Even with restaurant food, he's like, no, I don't want that. I have to eat this. He was very intentional about what Coach Jordan and Julius, all of them, and all the other coaches, everybody said. So when those guys say, listen to me, I'm going to give you a play, go and do the play exactly how I give it to you, run it exactly how I give it to you, and you're going to get the results. I can say that they're telling the truth and to listen, right? The word is bond. And I really appreciate that. And again, like I said the other night, I appreciate you, Julius, and the other coaches for what you do for these young men. Like they probably don't understand the magnitude of what they're getting now. Again, like you said, Sonja, they'll realize it later on. And what I tell Octavius, what you need to do is think about how you're going to start to pay it forward when you're in a position to help young men who want to play football later when you're older, So great job. Keep doing it. Keep expanding it. And I speak this business to be $1 million business one day, right?
Oh, it will be.
Amen.
All the resources you need, and you won't need those other coaching jobs because you won't have this. You won't have time for it.
Well, Julius, I have to say you have some incredible talent, and you have some lovely young mothers who support you, and that's really special. That's really special that for only being down there 4 years, 5 years, to have built what you have built on your own, like you said, starting with 9 kids to what you have now, man, it's huge, and the best is yet to come, like these people have said. And I'm excited. I'm going to try to get up for the 27th to see you guys. And I'm so proud of what you've accomplished. I'm so happy that you're getting these kids opportunities. And I can see it's your blood, sweat, and tears, and your staff put everything into this, and it's paying off. And you have a great crew, and you teach these kids. I mean, you're really somebody they can look up to and a role model. And I think that's incredible to have.
Yeah, man. I mean, I appreciate it, Steve, and I appreciate all the moms for getting on tonight. And the last thing I'll say, man, it takes a lot, man. And shout out to our coaches. I set these
great coaches,
this group of men down, and I told them before the season started, I said, look, man, you guys are not going to make a lot of money doing this. You're not. But you're going to make a lot of impact. When a lot of kids are going to depend on you, and what you're going to get from here is going to last a lot longer than any amount of money can last.
You can't put a dollar amount on it.
So, and then for these moms, I'm very unorthodox. Most trainers, they charge you a certain amount of money, which most times in Georgia is a lot. And they're scared to say anything. So shout out to these moms for putting up with me because I know I can be very unorthodox, and I pull them aside all the time. I know me and Miss Sonja talk all the time. Me and Kristen, talk a lot, and especially what she just said. Like, there's not many parents that will be willing, and Ink as well. There's not many parents that will be willing to listen to you criticize their children. Like to call and say, look, man, if you're going to have a chance, you need to lose 50 pounds. Like, it's people that are going to say, man, you know what, man, F you, get out of my way. In Christian, we called Sean and told him the reason you're not getting offers is because you need to do this and need to do that. Most parents are going to say, well, we've been here for this long and, whoop the whoop, and they're not going to listen. And the same with Sonja, like, she didn't have to let Zaden come out here and be a defensive tackle, you know. But now that he's been a defensive tackle and being unselfish and doing it, man, I talked to Alabama about him today. I talked to Texas about him. I talked to, you know, a lot of big time schools that are now, you know, looking at him and for his services. We're going to Georgia Tech tomorrow, you know, and they're excited, you know, to see him and what he's doing at D tackle. So if you don't have parents and kids, you know, that listen and take coaching and they're willing to hear it from a different point of view than their own. You know, most kids these days, man, they think they're the greatest thing since sliced bread, man.
They
We had a
do.
kid last year. We took a kid to Maryland, and he was a big-time prospect. And Coach Anthony was getting on him, and he looked at Coach Anthony and said, "Hey, man, do you know who I am?"
Ah,
You know, not knowing that he was talking to a two-time Super Bowl champion.
yeah,
You
right.
know, you
Anthony
know,
Smith. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like these are the type of
What a
kids that
guy
we
to
have.
pick.
Like you can't even talk to these kids. They're like, man, because they're so used to these coaches kissing their butts, man,
Yeah.
and telling them, "Hey, you're great," and you know, and they're pretty much intimidated by these children and feel like they have to solicit their way around the kids. And we're not like that, man. We look at ourselves as like an extra uncle, you know, and sometimes
Yes.
even
Yes.
father figure. You know, that's not afraid to challenge these kids and not afraid to tell these parents what they really need to hear so we can get the best result. So, you know, thank you guys for, you know, being a part. Thank you, Steve, for, you know, jumping in with us and getting this show started, man. And
No, it's great.
there'll
Great
be a lot going.
hearing, you know, it'll be good for everyone to hear from the mothers of the people that work with you. I just have to mention Razul Wallace has a charity dinner on March 22nd for the House of Changes. It's a very good cause, and it starts at 6 o'clock at the Swift Factory. Tickets can be purchased online. And then again, Julius's camp, July 16th. Did you say Gwinnett Central?
Well, yes, that's Central Gwinnett, March 16th. Yeah,
That's
yeah, Central
March.
Gwinnett.
Yeah, March.
March 16th, Gwinnett Central. Sign up for that
Central
as well.
Gwinnett.
That's going to be a great, great opportunity. So, ladies, thank you so much for being on the show. This is going to be huge. Julius, thank you as always. And we look forward to hearing about your camp coming up this weekend. I'm sure we'll get to watch some film next week. And we're excited for the one that is going to be in your neck of the woods. That's going to be fun. So I'm Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them